The Hog Sty is brought to you by TicketClub.com, your one-stop shop for live events nationwide. Whether you're looking for game, theater, or live performance tickets, don't sweat it. TicketClub.com has you covered. So make sure you're going there for all your live entertainment needs, and make sure you're clicking over to them from the banner at the top of the hogsty.com.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Hog Sty, now part of Big Heads Media. It's the post-game show, week 1. We all predicted a loss today, but leave it to the Skins to tantalize us with a great first half before reverting back to form. It's a loss in Philadelphia for the Skins, 32-27 in a tale of two halves. Around the table, we have Alex Zeese, Jamal Forrest, and Steve Thomas. Welcome back to the Hog Sty post-game show, guys. It's exciting time.
Yay.
It's nothing like that feeling of getting kicked in the balls by that kind of collapse.
Didn't we see this coming?
And we all knew it was coming. You know, we all kind of knew in the back of our heads, because I think, you know, we did the fan prediction thing. One person thought we'd win this game out of all the predictions we got in.
Well, that's just a blind homer. That's you're just ignoring the tide of history if you predicted
right,
this game.
Right. But still, this felt like a little bit of a kick in the balls.
Yeah, it did, because I think some of us expected more of a slugfest or a low-scoring game. This was brutal because they started out so well, effective in all facets of the game, and total polar opposite in the second.
So I know we're gonna get into it. And one of the things that just really pissed me off and pissed all of us off is literally what you said, Sean. Just the fact that they started off so strong, but you knew on that opening drive, the second half against the Eagles, they had these two plays up the middle that the Redskins cannot stop. I want to say it was some type of power run or a trap run. But like they ran it back to back.
It was a trap run, I think.
They ran it back to back, and you just knew that this is something that they were seeing early on. And with Jonathan Allen out, there was nothing they could really do. They was in trouble.
No.
Listen, Jonathan Allen isn't Reggie White, okay? I refuse to put this kind of performance on the fact that one guy out of 11 wasn't in.
Oh no, I'm not putting it on him, but at the same time, you can. There's a few reasons why you knew this front seven was going to be in trouble. The first half you were getting you weren't getting to the quarterback, but you were getting pressure. You was getting him off his mark in the first half. Jonathan Allen had a lot to do with that. Second half,
sure.
You see that he's gone. There is absolutely no pressure in the second half, none. And then on top of that, they're able to run on any side of the ball. They're really having success up the middle as well. I would like to say Jonathan Allen played a role in that.
Oh, he played a role
I
for
think,
sure, absolutely. But I mean, again, I refuse to put such a putrid performance in the second half on just one guy. I mean, that's a whole lot.
And Jonathan Allen's not going to be going deep with
it's all on
Sean,
him. I'm just saying up front, they just had he was
up front.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. And the lack of depth, I think, kind of starts to show when you lose a guy like Allen. That's
not to mention Caleb Brantley got hurt with his ankle. He had an ankle injury. I don't know how long Cole Holcomb was out. I'm not sure. But Cole Holcomb, he came back in. But Caleb Brantley hurt his ankle. So like these guys up front was not helping. And Quentin Dunbar, something was going on with him today. I'm gonna just be nice. Yeah, I'm gonna be nice with it. Something was going on with him today. He needs to refocus because he was. I know for a fact he was going on early.
Jackson,
exactly.
Man.
Yep. He was going on early with DeSean Jackson.
That's
He may have been out of his game from the beginning.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Steve, are you about to hit us with stats?
Yeah, I was about to do injuries and then stats. Injuries.
Okay.
Jonathan Allen obviously was a big one. It was a knee. Quentin Dunbar had cramps and returned. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie went out with a hand. Cole Holcomb was out and I think came back in, and then Caleb Brantley with an ankle. And that was about it for injuries. Yeah. Obviously, the big one is Jonathan Allen. We'll see.
Geis went out and came back in, too, at one point. Darius Geis got some kind of injury and came back in, too, early.
Count him. Okay, in terms of stats, it was, as Sean said at the beginning of this, it was really a tale of two halves. You know, overall, Case Keenum was 30 of 45 for 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 sack, a quarterback rating of 115. Darius Geis went 10 for 18. Chris Thompson 3 for 10. rushing. Overall, the Redskins were 13 for 28 for 2.2 yards per carry rushing. Terry McLaurin was by far the leading receiver, five receptions, 125 yards. Chris Thompson, 7 for 68. Vernon Davis had a great first half and then kind of disappeared. 4 for 59. Paul Richardson, 4 for 36. Trey Quinn, 4 for 33. Kelvin Harmon, 2 for 31. Darius Geis, 3 for 20. And Jeremy Sprinkle, 1 for 8. And on the Eagles side, just because I want to make everybody suffer and listen to this, 28 for Carson Wentz was 28 for 39, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, quarterback rating 121. Darren Sproles was 9 for 47 yards. Jordan Howard 6 for 44. As a team, the Eagles were 30 for 124 yards. Zach Ertz was 5 for 54 receptions. Alshon Jeffrey 5 for 49. Dallas Goedert 2 for 16. It goes down from there. Did I forget anybody? Oh, I'm sorry. God, I did. DeSean Jackson. Only had 154 yards on 8 receptions.
Jesus. The one person you forgot, huh?
Hey,
right.
I didn't actually forget. And on defense, if we want to do this, which I really don't, but let's do. Quentin Dunbar and Cole Holcomb both had 9 tackles. Landon Collins 7. Monte Nicholson and Montez Sweat, who I swear, like he didn't play the game, but somehow he had 5 tackles. One sack, Casanova McKenzie. And on the Eagles side, Tim Jernigan had the 1 sack. So that is stats for today.
Okay.
Wait, how many tackles did Kerrigan have?
Kerrigan?
Yeah,
he didn't seem to play this game either. Ryan Kerrigan had 0.
Hey, wow. Excuse me, he had 0 what?
Tackles.
Anything.
No, I'm sorry. Wait,
nothing.
I'm wrong.
He did nothing
he did have
all
1
game.
tackle. Forgive me.
Oh, he had 1. Okay.
Yeah. 1 tackle, 2 quarterback hits. So, there you go.
Well, you guys know how I feel about Kerrigan, so I'm not going to go there today.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go there when we talk defense, but let's maybe stick with offense first here. Talk a little bit more about Wentz, what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Hold on. Are we talking about the Eagles offense or
no Redskins?
Because you said Wentz, so I was confused.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, Case. What's interesting about the stats that you just said, Steve, is that the overall yardage really isn't all that different.
Well, I've got
for the 2
offenses. Well, I've got a breakdown for you here. Okay.
So,
in the first half, the Redskins had 278 total yards of offense. By the end of the game, they were at 398, and that's including the garbage time touchdown. And so they really had 120 yards of total offense in the second half. But up until the last drive, that was at about 30.
Yeah, shout out to that garbage time touchdown, man. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
It really saved their numbers. For those of you who care about Jamal's money and the numbers, that really meant a lot because the truth of the matter is, they got almost nothing done in the second half whatsoever.
Well, it helps Jamal because we all know he's saving up for some big ticket items in his life now.
Exactly.
So
I gotta be smart with my decisions, and this one helped.
Now Carson Wentz.
Some would say smart would just be keeping the money in your bank account. But
come on now, it's no fun if that happens.
Carson Wentz, on the other hand, though, only had 112 yards passing at the halftime. He ended up with 313, so he passed for 201 yards in the second half alone.
I was going to ask, do we have the split, Steve, on how many plays first half, second half for the Eagles?
No, I didn't count the split on plays.
Okay.
That's too hard to keep track of.
Yeah, I know. That was rough.
I mean, it really, the numbers are kind of obvious in the end. The Redskins dominated the first half, the Eagles dominated the second, and that second half mattered more in the end.
And I'll tell you
usually
what,
does.
Things were going really well. Everything seemed to be working. In the third quarter where it all unraveled, this was the quarter where first Case overthrew, I forget who it was. Was it probably Richardson maybe? Then there were like 3 drops in a row, or 2 drops.
Well, he overthrew McLaurin on a sure touchdown. Is that what you're thinking of?
That's probably what it is. But then it was followed up by drops from Richardson and then Davis.
In terms of a split,
in
the second
total sloppy.
In the second half, I'm loosely counting about 19 minutes time of possession for the Eagles in the second half.
Okay,
I did keep track.
They didn't dominate it,
kind of lose track of the times in each possession, and about 19 minutes in the second half.
So, Steve, Sean, you brought up a good point about that one specific drive, and I think when we're talking about the Redskins team in general in that second half, the reason why that drive was so big is how it started. You kind of worry about how Gruden answers opponents' scoring runs or momentum boosting drives or anything like that. And one of the things that you saw was a drop back, and somehow McLaurin got deep again. He got past the defense again, and the first thing you do is have an overthrow. It happens in games. But in a situation like that, a high-pressure moment, when you know your team is reeling, it's rough. You can't have that happen. And then you followed up with a drop and a bad pass, I believe, or 2 drops, excuse me. So it just does not help your team, and it was one of the key moments in the second half, if I had to say.
Yeah. Look, in terms of the first half offense, I think the Redskins caught the Eagles a little bit flat-footed. I don't think they were ready for Terry McLaurin at all. They left him one-on-one on that deep post for the touchdown in the first half. I really think that Jay was sandbagging on McLaurin all offseason. They won't, people won't do it again, but they did it now. But the bigger thing really was that the Eagles' defensive line wasn't getting a ton of pressure on Keenum in the beginning. Run blocking, they never looked very good in the first or the second half. I thought Darius Guice kind of tried. He did what he could. He didn't look. I don't think he had played particularly bad. He kind of got what was there.
He didn't play particularly well.
It's the classic thing that we've seen for the last couple of years with this team when it comes to the run game.
Yeah.
Though it's you don't use a fullback, you don't have very good blocking tight ends, so you're really never going to dominate in the run game.
I do have an interesting run game stat for you guys, though, actually. The guys at Pro Football Reference offered to do a little bit of research, and so I took them up on it, and I asked them, how many games has Jay Gruden coached in which he has called more than 25 runs
Plays
in a single game? And the answer is 44. So he has coached 81 games, and in 44 of those, he's had 25 carries plus, which is 19th most in that span of time. So there you go.
But right around half.
No, 2000. I did the math right. It's 2014, so he's a little under half. He's 44 of 96.
44,
plus
okay,
today
yeah,
would be
that
97.
would be just under half then.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thanks to Pro Football Reference for doing that for us.
But
yeah, Pro Football Reference. I like that.
And shout out to Jay Gruden, man, because he really said he wanted to use Darius Guice today, and he showed it, man. 10 carries, 18 yards. He did a really good job of showcasing what Darius Guice can do, especially deactivating Adrian Peterson. We didn't need him at all. Apparently, we didn't need him.
Yeah, he was not missed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That he showed off.
I don't understand how you
impressed.
Deactivate the 2018 Offensive Player of the Year who saved the season and rushed for over 1,000 yards and over 4 yards a carry. I do not understand how you deactivate him in favor of Wendell Smallwood just because Wendell Smallwood can play a little special teams. That makes no sense to me. They could have used Adrian today, to shake things up a little bit, give him a series or two at least. They didn't do it. I thought it was a huge mistake.
I don't think Peterson would have wowed us either, honestly. I think the Eagles' defensive line just kind of honed in on the run game. No matter who would have been back there, you're looking at 2 to 3 yards a carry.
Was it more valuable
average.
to have Wendell Smallwood than Adrian Peterson?
I don't know. I don't think that either of them would be very effective in the running game.
Yeah, I don't. I think 10 times out of 10, I'm taking Adrian Peterson over Wendell Smallwood. And if you have to
Adrian
choose
Peterson to start returning punts, maybe he'll get on the field.
If you have to keep Wendell Smallwood activated, then you find a way to keep 4 running backs activated and active on game day. You don't take Adrian Peterson, one of your better playmakers, off the field, you don't take him out of the lineup completely on game day. You don't do it. Don't care if he don't play special teams. You play that man, or you find a way to get him on the field.
I'm totally with you, Jamal. I think it was a huge mistake to not activate him. I mean, he's too talented. He's too good. Still to this day, it was a huge mistake. No, it didn't. It didn't cost him.
I would also say I'd like to see him return punts.
I don't care.
That might not be a bad idea.
You could put Trey Quinn back there, which they did, and then you can also put what's the receiver back there.
Sims was back there,
at kick return, which they did. Wendell Smallwood didn't do neither. So he was probably playing one of those. I can't even tell you this position, but I know he wasn't playing gunner. I don't think, but
he was on the coverage unit for kickoffs.
Well, look, you can find somebody out there. You can find a linebacker. Put that man out there.
Exactly. I'm totally with you, Jamal. I agree. Would it have got the Redskins a win? No.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to say that he's the reason why they lost. It's just the fact that if you want to see what happened in that second half and why they couldn't sustain drives, you give Adrian Peterson a chance to see if he can do anything. He made a lot out of nothing last year.
Sure did. Yeah. I mean, look, the good things about the offense, I guess, Jay did open up the playbook a little bit more when things were going well in the first half. So applaud him for that. He called more of the deep balls than he did last year, which was like 0 practically. So that's a good thing. Vernon Davis still has it. I didn't realize his grandfather died like Saturday.
Yeah, I thought he was hurt, and that's why he was struggling off the field there.
Too. So those are I don't know.
Great play, though.
I think those are the positives. The holding calls are just absurd and ridiculous. There were 13 penalties on the Redskins in this play. Of the 13, 6 were holds. Morgan Moses had at least 2 of those, maybe 3. So it's just ridiculous.
That's how you lose a game.
That problem continues with Moses.
Bit of a miracle that the offensive line there didn't give up constant sacks. Yes, it was a bit of a penalty magnet, but at least it wasn't pressure all day throughout the game. I mean, 1 sack.
What?
Well,
that's definitely how you lose games, though. Like those penalties, and it's kind of crazy how it lined up. In the second half, you had a few big plays that were negated off of the fact that there was mental mistakes, false starts by Morgan Moses, who is too damn old to be doing that in pressure situations. Like you have to be smarter than that. But I mean, it happens in the game. But you just know, like these situations, you can't have false starts by your veteran offensive lineman. And then holdings on big plays. Like you just take away your own team's momentum, and it hurts.
Yeah, it's 60 yards. Here are some other things I noticed. The Redskins were running almost exclusively to the right. In the first half. I believe they only had one carry to the left. They clearly trusted Moses and Scherf more than they did Penn and Eric Flowers. And even in the second half, it was still more to the right than the left. Yeah, so that made sense. I didn't think Flowers looked too awful in pass pro. Moses was the one that gave up the big sack. It came from that side, not on the left side. So, I mean, all in all, they got worked in the second half for sure. But would Trenton Williams have been in there giving the Redskins a win? No.
And I think that's the thing that fans are going to have to accept about the team this year. Having stars like Peterson or Williams in there, those won't save games like this. They'll save the games versus teams like Detroit, Miami, the average to below average teams that we're going to face later in the year. Having vets for that will help, but going against these playoff teams, it doesn't matter. We just don't have the horses really to compete.
The bottom line here is that this running game has got to get going, or this is going to be a really long season. This is a run team. Jay Gruden's offense is, in my opinion, Jay Gruden's offense is keyed off the run. I know everybody thinks he's a passing guy and he's a West Coast guy, and I understand that. And I mean, I know a lot of you think, and me included, he gives up on the run too early. But when the run game gets going, it really opens up the nature of the calls of the plays he can call. When it doesn't work, he's stuck with check down after check down after check down, after check down over and over and over again. So it's the only.
Well, we saw that
we
today.
Did see that today. Yeah. We did see that today. So the best thing the Redskins can do is figure out how to get somebody, guys, Peterson, Smallwood, me, anybody, need to be able to run the ball with consistency and effectiveness, or this is going to be a really long year.
It's going to be a long year. No matter what happens, it's going to be a long year. This is a building year, and people who thought that this team's going 10 wins, and I saw a bunch of those predictions, you're on crack. Like this is the year that you're going to be finding out. Okay, we have a number one wide receiver in Terry McQuillan.
I want to know what year we aren't building. That's what I want to know.
I think they were not building last year when they decided to trade away a lot of stuff for an old quarterback who can't throw the ball.
Yeah. Whenever the foundation's actually in place, and exactly, trading for an old quarterback is not a foundational move to make. So I agree.
Right.
This is a building year by nature. They all have been, but that's the nature of the beast right now.
This is a more honest building year. That's the difference.
I kind of agree to an extent. I just feel like, just truth be told, it's a reason why he went with the veteran quarterback, and it's also a reason why they've been building these last 2 years really with this defense. So I do agree with you, Alex. I just want to add the fact that even though it's kind of a building year, they understand the urgency in a sense from the coaching perspective, and they cannot necessarily allow these type of games to occur and much more. Like, the first game is already eye-opening enough. You're up 17-0, even though it's early. I know football. We know football. It's still plenty of time for the Eagles to come back. However, you allowed 32 straight points before you can respond. Or, well, not before you can respond, but it was 32-3 at one point before they scored that touchdown. So it's just the fact that you understand that there's a sense of urgency, and they went with the veteran quarterback.
Wait a minute. So it was 17.
No, it was 17 then they scored a touchdown, then we scored a field goal, and then they scored 25 points.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it was 30. I'm saying it was 17-0. They outscored us 32-3.
32-3. You're right. Yeah. 32-3. Okay.
So I'm just saying that in the sense that the first game is an eye opener in itself. You cannot allow this to continue. You had your veteran quarterback. You have some type of leadership from that perspective. He has experience. You cannot allow these type of games to happen, and for you to blow a game like that to that extent, the Eagles are good. I got to give them credit, but for you on your side, you still have to play football too. You cannot allow that to happen, and much more before before people start really calling for your job. And it's only week 1, so I'm not going to say he needs to go anywhere. But it will.
It's also
it will
the same old story, though, Jamal. I mean, they come out a second. How many times have we seen Jay Gruden coach teams come out at halftime flat, where the other team has clearly adjusted somehow, especially particularly in the interior of the lines, offensive defense, and the Redskins can't respond. Because like you pointed out, the two trap plays in the middle there coming out of the first half. One of them was the Sanders. The other one might have been Sproles, I think. Why didn't that happen in the first half? We haven't studied the film. It's hard to know kind of on the fly. But I can guarantee you those are adjustments, one way or another. And they just do a terrible job at it. They do.
Yeah.
And they came out with no energy, whatsoever. The Eagles were pumped up and motivated, and the Redskins weren't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. Do we want to say anything else more offensive-oriented? We didn't really talk much about Case himself.
Yeah.
What'd you guys see out of Case?
Case is okay.
Meh.
I mean, he's a journey. He just kind of showed he's a journeyman. The one thing is, I will say good about him. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. At least he didn't today.
Right.
He held the ball too long on maybe 2 or 3 plays, including the sack. Play was because he held the ball too long. But he doesn't make too many misreads. He got away with maybe 1, today, and that was about it. He's a guy who, if the rest of the offense is clicking and doing well, you can win with Case Keenum. That's what happened in Minnesota 2 years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be a guy who's like a franchise quarterback who can make plays, take you over the top, all that. He's a guy who will be good enough if the team around him is good, and that's not what the Redskins are right now, at least.
Yep, I would agree.
No, I don't think we're as bad as Denver was for him last year, but, we're probably not much better.
Yeah, he had that one really close, almost interception in the first quarter.
Yeah, and they jumped that Vernon Davis slant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one mistake, but you're right, Steve. Generally pretty dependable.
That was the play I was thinking.
He just doesn't have the arm you need. That's the big thing with Case is, like, you watch his deep balls, you watch anything mid-range and beyond, it all floats.
He's not known for his deep balls. We knew that about him.
Yeah, but that I'm just saying, that's kind of what, his limitation is always going to be.
He hit Terry McLaurin in stride. How many times did we see Kirk Cousins not do that? And the receiver has to hang back and lag and wait and adjust. At least he got the ball.
Kirk Cousins had the same issue. Case Keenum is just Kirk Cousins minus 5 points or something,
Yeah, he also overthrew McLaurin, too, to your point, Steve. So, he can dial it up occasionally if he needs to, but you're right. Not going to blow the door down, not really going to carry the team on his shoulders. Although today, I'm sorry, did you say quarterback rating in your stats?
Yeah, I said,
Rating? What was it again?
Okay, so his final...
Couldn't have been that bad.
His final quarterback rating was...
because he had 380
his final
yards.
quarterback rating was 115, but listen to this breakdown, though. At the end of the first quarter, he was at 147. At halftime, he was at 141. Then in the third quarter, it was 125.8, and then he finished with 115. It was because of those completions and incompletions. That's what happened.
Yeah. Overall, I think he played a good game. Just to be quick, because I know y'all already touched on everything. I do think that he scares me in the pocket. even though he made some good throws out of it, he holds the ball way too long, and sometimes he's kind of a statue amidst traffic. So it's like, what are you like? You kind of risking a lot staying in the pocket that long, having the ball exposed to so many defenders around you. So that's all. It was a good performance. I was impressed. For the first game, you got to see how he responds for the next few weeks, because the first game is the one you game plan the most. And they just happen to know the opponent as well. So, good game overall.
Yeah, again, I think you can win with him. You just have to. Here's what I think a definition of a franchise quarterback is. A franchise quarterback can make plays when no one else can, and he can guide your offense when nothing else is going right. Like Tom Brady can do that. Tom Brady can make plays out of nowhere. Peyton Manning was the everything for the Colts. Case Keenum, Kirk Cousins, guys like this, they can do well when everything else is going well, and that's the difference. And that's what Case Keenum is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, more or less agree. Okay, let's talk a little bit more specifics about defense before we cut it off today. We went way over on offense, but I'm not surprised. It's the first post-game show after all. So, Jamal, I know you were talking about Dunbar, saw some issues there. Norman had some issues. What'd you guys see on defense? What was your big headline?
Yeah, we don't have a guy who can cover speed. I mean, we all rave about Jimmy Moreland. He's not a speed coverage guy. He's going to be physical. Dunbar's physical. Norman's physical. We just don't have anybody in the secondary right now who's really good covering speed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of you guys on Twitter are pointing out, Fabian Moreau. Just stop. He's not. Yes, he's faster. He's not DeSean Jackson fast. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie might have been in the old days. Number one, he's not even on the field all the time. You're not going to isolate Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
He's almost like 50, I think, at this point. He's getting up there.
On DeSean Jackson.
No.
I actually think Josh Norman played fairly well today, given the circumstances, and the team just put him really in a really bad position on the long DeSean Jackson touchdown. He was isolated, one-on-one in a zone. On Jackson, and that's just not going to go well for anybody. So I actually thought Norman didn't do all that bad, all things considered.
Yeah, I thought Norman had a decent game. It was more so Dunbar that I was really concerned about.
Yeah.
He had just a couple bonehead.
After he got injured, he did not play the same either. Dunbar.
Say that again, Alex.
I said after he got injured, he didn't play the same.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny. I think it was in the preview show, Alex said, all that you need to do is DeSean Jackson's going to get his. So all you need to do is limit the big play ability of Jackson. And it's obvious that's what you needed to do. It's always frustrating going into a game when you know this is exactly the threat and you just can't do anything to stop it. It's very frustrating. I mean, we all said it on the preview show.
Yeah.
So not good in the defensive backfield.
Well, and I've been thinking about this, especially after this game, but how much better would this team be if they had kept DeSean Jackson the last couple of years instead of trying out to see if Dox could replace him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's almost not even a question. Right? I mean, it's obvious that he adds a whole new facet to the game. Without him, you're seriously limiting yourself, and this offense is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. They held themselves back the last 2 years. Even with, I think you've been all right with Pierre, but DeSean is a game changer in the sense that nobody can really account for his speed. So that's that. I hate to play the flashback game, but you're right, Alex. That's kind of
honestly though, I mean McLaurin might be an adequate replacement for him right now.
Finally, yeah, I think McLaurin might be.
To have him and Paul Richardson out there is beneficial to us because both the speedsters, but both are also playmakers. They do things that DeSean really can't in terms of being aggressive when the ball is in the air. DeSean can beat you with route running and getting open with his speed, but Terry and Paul Richardson, they're really aggressive. They're a lower level of what Josh can do in terms of leaping and being aggressive when the ball is in the air for jump ball opportunities, but they're up there in that, and that's the criteria that they fit in.
In terms of defense, I mean overall, I think the defensive line really got worn down, significantly there in the second half.
100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that was. I think quite honestly, I think you guys out there are overrating the defensive line a little bit, just out of Redskins loyalty, which is cool with me. I get that, but I didn't like the way they looked in the Atlanta preseason game. I thought they got pushed around there. The Eagles pushed them around, today. And, yes, granted, again, I told you this time of possession split was something like 19-11 in the second half. I understand that. But all the same, I just can't believe that one man, Jonathan Allen, being out makes you look that badly. I'm just not sure that this truly is it good? Yes. Are they elite top 10? I just don't know if we're going to see that out of this.
Here's another thing with this defense. I don't know the total number now anymore, but I know there was 3 specific opportunities where the defense had a chance to get off the field in the second half where they faced at least 3rd and 10. And because they couldn't get pressure up front, on 2 of them, Carson Wentz was able to buy time, and people will point to the secondary or Greg Minuski. That's not really his fault that the pass rush isn't getting home. When you have a DB defending for more than 3 seconds, we all know this, it becomes a problem. But 2 of those plays resulted in first downs because there was no pressure on Wentz. He was able to buy time and find the open guy. One of the plays ended up being a touchdown to DeSean Jackson. The busted coverage with Jimmy Moreland. These are, and I know it was more than 3. I just can't remember them right now. But those 3 stuck out to my head that I remembered, and that's a problem that we've had for quite some time now. And it showed its head again in week 1, and that's scary.
I think the thing you're also going to have to point to in those cases is you have these guys on the edge who are letting the quarterback break out of the pocket, and they're not causing any pressure. I mean, Kerrigan, like we were saying at the beginning of the show, he may as well have just been on the bench the whole game. He didn't show up. He didn't do anything of note. Casanova McKenzie is the only one who I ever saw really make any plays.
Montez Sweat was a huge disappointment to me. Yeah,
Montez Sweat did nothing. Anderson was almost a detriment whenever he was out there. If you're you can't let the quarterback just roll out and not go after him.
He did that time and time again, over and over and over again. And I think, by the way, I put some of the blame on that second DeSean Jackson touchdown on Monte Nicholson. I realized he kind of had a devil's choice to make there because he was a single high safety, but I mean. I'm shading. If I have to pick between Nelson Aguilar or DeSean Jackson, I'm going D-Jax every time. I'm not getting sucked into that.
I don't know. I think that if you look at that play, it's pretty clear to me that Jimmy Moreland should have stayed with Jackson going back, and he kind of just sat in his route after Jackson got past him. It's one guy high and 2 guys who could have caught a touchdown very easily. It's not a good situation.
Is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what kind of zone they were in. We'll have to watch all 22 on that film. It'll get broken down, this week.
Either way, it's a great point, I think, about not being able to get pressure. I mean, that really is the problem, and that's how you end up with 10-minute drives in the second half.
Right.
That exhausts the team and totally sap all your momentum away from you. So,
I get that they want to only bring pressure with 4 people. If it's not working, you got to change your plan.
Yeah.
You got to go with 5. I mean, Holcomb was pretty impressive getting in the backfield on some run plays. Blitz a guy like that. If he can bust through gaps on runs, he can probably bust through a gap on a pass play.
I do have an injury update. Jonathan Allen is day-to-day with a knee sprain.
Sprain?
Yeah, I'm about to say
that's not great, but
not great, but not bad either.
It's a range.
Yeah,
it's a range with sprains in terms of what that means.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other big thoughts about defense, offense, whatever before we do game balls? Because we're doing game balls.
I mean, I hate to say it, but this is kind of what I thought would happen. At some level, I wouldn't necessarily predict a great first half, but the Redskins just don't put complete games together. Unless the team is really awful, like the Cardinals, they just don't put – the Jay Gruden coached Washington Redskins do not put 4 quarters together ever. Blame Jay Gruden, blame the players, blame both, whoever you want. But the fact of the matter is they just very rarely do they put 4 quarters together. So this is what you should have expected kind of in a big sort of general sense. I think the reason, big reason for the loss is they just failed to make adjustments at halftime. It sounds like a broken record. We said this, it seems like every week we say something like this.
Every year.
Exactly.
Yep.
But that's, I think that's more of the reason for the loss than anything. Is that and again, they just have to get a run game going. Darius Geisel does have talent. He showed some talent if you watch the way he runs, the way he picks his holes, the moves he can make, but he just can't do anything if there's no running room. They're going to have to figure that out. I guess those are my big picture thoughts.
Okay. Beautiful. Anybody else want to throw something out there before we do game balls?
Nope.
Yeah,
let's do it. Good. You good? Okay, cool. Let's do it. I'll start us off. You know what? There's a couple ways you could do this. Okay, obviously on offense, Terry McLaurin is very deserving. I'm going Davis with mine. Love the hurdle, love the speed, love the power. Vernon Davis gets my offensive game ball. That's only, again, because I know one of you guys is going to cover McLaurin for me. And defense, let's go McKenzie. Let's go Casanova McKenzie, baby, for the sack. You're right, just not enough pressure from anybody to really get it going on defense this week. So give it to the guy who got something done.
All right. I think offensively, Terry McLaurin is your guy for sure. I mean, he had 125 yards, and he looked like a primary receiver. He looked like a big-time deep threat, all of that. We'll see if now that the NFL knows who he is, he can keep that up, but we'll see. Defensively, I mean, God, do we really have to? Do I have to give one?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Sure do. You know the rules.
Yeah, I know. It's just really hard because nobody stuck out whatsoever. Like
you stuck up for Norman earlier. You stuck up for him enough to give him a game ball.
No, because, he still, at the end of the day, he was covering DeSean Jackson when he gave up the touchdown. Quentin Dunbar is our leading tackle. He certainly doesn't get it. You know who looked pretty good and outplayed expectations? Cole Holcomb. There you go.
That was my guy. It's cool, though. Nah, go ahead.
Steve literally took the two guys I was going to take, too.
Cole Holcomb outplayed my expectations. He's just a rookie. He looked like he belonged out there. He was involved in a whole bunch of plays, a whole bunch of stops, 9 tackles, 8 solo tackles. He's my game. He's got my defensive game ball. I'm not even going to give it to an Eagle this time like I did multiple times last year.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and be quick with mine. Offensively, I'll go Terry McLaurin as well. A few catches that were really tough and from a receiver's perspective, although I'm not a pro, like the level of difficulty and concentration for some of those that he had, specifically that one that I think it was called back because of holding, I believe, but the one in the 2-minute warning when they were driving before the half, that one was a great catch. It was a great catch. But yeah, Terry McLaurin for those reasons, and then secondly, I'm going to go Cole Holcomb as well. Steve already said it. He already made the reasons why, but just his instinctive when he knows what he's doing. He's aggressive and he plays smart. That was one of the things that I was kind of happy for him, or happy that we got him because of those things. Like when he knows what he's doing, he's aggressive and he plays smart. But sometimes when he's thinking, you can actually see it on the field as well, and it's pretty obvious. But this one was a really good, impressive outing for him as his first game. So yeah, Cole Holcomb.
Beautiful. I hate to be unoriginal, but I'm going to be unoriginal because I think that the only one guy on defense and offense stood out to me, and it's the two rookies that you guys have mentioned. It's McLaurin and Holcomb. It's just simple. Terry McLaurin, by the way, did more in his first game than Josh Doctson did in 3 years ever as a best game.
Boom, baby. Stat of the day right there.
If I really wanted to be a troll, I'd give a game ball to Adrian Peterson. I was tempted.
Yeah.
I was tempted.
Yeah, you could do that. You could make some other arguments, though. You could if someone wanted to give a game ball to Case this week, they could make that argument.
Look, I would have done that.
Really?
But, yeah, I would have. He played a good game, but at the same time, as a quarterback, when you're in a situation where they was in the second half, you got to find a way to make plays too. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it. And you can't really fault Terry, so Terry made plays when they came to him, and that's why I had to give him the game ball.
I just wonder if there's going to be a game this year where, like I did last year, where I made Jay Gruden march to the other locker room and present it to the opposing coach. Didn't I do that?
You just wonder. We all know you're going to do it.
That's true.
Petty and spiteful is your middle name.
That's true. That was one of my proudest moments, actually, last year. I got to say.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, well, here's to many more moments like that to come this year. We'll leave it at that then. This has been the Hog Sty, hogsty.com. Tomorrow we'll have articles coming out, recap articles. We've got 2 podcasts dropping tomorrow, so make sure you're checking that out.
If they're listening to this, they've already checked one out.
Well,
so.
Okay, so it's today. We have lots of content today, is what I meant. Thanks, Alex. We'll
just doing some podcast math.
Right. All right, we'll see you next week right here on the Hog Sty. Take care.